Aftercare After Dark is intended for mature audiences. If you're under the age of 18, we would ask you to leave this broadcast immediately and patiently await your formal invite to the grown folks table. We sometimes discuss topics that can be triggering for some. Please refer to the show's notes for episode-specific trigger warnings and resources. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aftercare After Dark. My name is Miss G.
And I'm Yolanda. We're two sisters helping each other navigate these kink streets. Aftercare is time spent communicating and taking care of your partner after sex and or play. But who does this vital work when you're single? We are here for each other and those of you who are also exploring. Fun! Where I step on people's faces and lick refrigerators in slow squats.
The dating scene currently right now, it's an entirely different world because when the last time I was single, I was in my early 20s, and the demographic of people that you have available to you, your early 20s, is nothing compared to what it is now at 33.
Oh, wait until you're in your 40s.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. I am Miss G.
I'm Yolanda.
And we are Aftercare After Dark.
We are two sisters sharing our experiences out here in these Kink streets. For today, it's all about the goal setting. 2023, who we are, how we met, and our goals moving forward into 2024. Short details on me. I'm 48 years old. I identify as a solo poly. I learn new things every day. I'm a technical writer who identifies as demi and gray asexual. And by practice, I'm bisexual, but probably would categorize myself as pansexual.
So a little bit about me. I am 33 years old, born and raised in American Samoa. I am a professional dog trainer and currently exploring the world of amateur dominatrix. Consider myself a pansexual person. Currently, I am exploring a polyamorous dynamic.
So how we met. way back in 2000, what was it, 16?
I think 2016. It's got to be.
Yeah. We were at a veterans event together, and I'm going to tell it from my point of view, okay? Because it was a room full of women. We were talking about our experiences. We were sharing in a safe space, talking about different things about being a vet that were particular to being a woman. And there was this dog, and I fell in love with the dog. Dog's name was Danny. And I was like, I want a Danny in my life. I need a Danny in my life. Is a working dog. Danny is a service dog. Just beautiful. Inside, out. Knows when it's time to play, when the collar comes off, but also a consummate professional at taking his owner's cues, being on the alert, even when at play, rolling into a work mode when sensing that there's elevated, I don't know, hormones, heartbeat. I don't know how attuned he is to, but I know that he was on the ready at all times. And I was like, I want this. And then I met the owner. because listen, you are in these groups sometimes, and sometimes it's a great experience. I didn't have the best experience that weekend, but I did have the best experience meeting Miss G and Danny, and I'm still on the search for my service dog, my Danny, but we'll talk about that in a later episode. But that's how we met. I was enthralled. I was like, okay, so the owner has command and control and knows, when it's time for Danny to have Danny's needs met. That symbiosis between a person and their animal, like I have never seen anything like it. And I was like, okay, this person's awesome. I have to know. So we ended up spending some time that weekend, but also maintaining over the years, even though we've never been in the same place at the same time. So that's the meeting.
What was it that weekend? It was a veterans retreat for women. Okay, it was a Project Odyssey. It was an Odyssey for women.
Was it Odyssey?
I think it was the first Project Odyssey for women. And I remember that we were upset, or at least you were not upset, you were disappointed because the men that we've encountered who've been on Project Odysseys have kind of talked these events up where they go hiking or they go sled dogging or like they do all these cool things. And then when they did a Project Odyssey for the women, it was very underwhelming.
We didn't do much. We stayed in like a hotel. We were in that hotel space. Most of these events, I remember my soul. Did we?
We went kayaking. I remember because I think you were in a tandem kayak. I don't know if it was you, but somebody was in. I think you had yours by yourself because you said that you knew better. But some of these ladies had never been kayaking before, and then they got put in a tandem kayak and they were just like running into bushes, running into branches. Some women did not have a good time.
I got left. I got left. We were supposed to do a paint and sip or something like that. And I got left behind. They just left me there, like at the hotel. I was there on time. 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes, but they did a head count and left 15 minutes early. And they left me at the hotel. I was heated. So that was that weekend. It was not the best weekend. I did not have the greatest time, but I met one of the greatest people. So that brings us to a few months ago, like October. I did something that I don't do. I reached out because I started my exploration. I am not new to my disposition, but I am new to the lifestyle. This goes into the demi-asexual thing where like I've been celibate for 6 years. Nothing, no dates, no contact, no whatever. It's been me, my business, my friendships, all the rest of that romantic thing, not on my radar, not something that I was checking for, not something that I felt a need for until this summer.
It's about that time.
It's about that time, right? Like, like use it or lose it at my age. So like, I was like, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this in the way that for me has been very professional. Like I'm successful in my professional life. I've always been able to put it together. Dating, I have not put that effort in. I have never officially really dated. I've been divorced for 17 years. So like I said, okay, we're gonna do this smart goals. We are going to set goals. We're gonna set an agenda, but I don't know what I'm doing. But Miss G's Instagram, be spicy. Mutual friend, who still lives in Florida. Like I called her up and I was like, I'm gonna reach out because I don't know anybody who's in scene. Like I don't know anybody who's in scene, but from these pictures, like
it's like, do you think it's a perfect amount of subtlety, and then at the same time, it's like you're definitely in it?
I hedged my bets. Remember what I messaged you? I was like, I could be entirely wrong, okay, but I need somebody to talk to about the lifestyle. I need somebody to talk to about the kink, what I'm 10 toes deep in right now. I need to talk to someone. All my friends are vanilla, bless them. I'm not. And I don't think I should be even trying to be. I think I've always tried to fit in, and that has never served me. So like I need to find people. Your Instagram, I think it's art. You've talked about it. I think it's art. I think it is raise an eyebrow, but you're not entirely sure. It could just be for art's sake. That's not who you are. Listen, part of my mission is everyday cosplay. I'm going to be the superhero I think I am out in these streets all day, every day, right? So that's part of my goal. So I reached out and I was scared. She could be like, how dare you? Okay, I just do those fun where I step on people's faces and lick refrigerators and swell squats and like whatever. I think they're beautiful. I think they're very artful, and you don't know. You don't know for sure what your disposition is. It's well done. Well done.
I like to keep people on their toes. I've always stood out my entire life. I've been singled out no matter how much I've tried to be invisible, no matter how much I've tried to blend in. And so I've finally reached a point in my life where I'm just like, it, you're going to get noticed anyway. So you may as well just use it.
Yeah.
Just make it work. Just make it work for you. I've never been the type to be fit into a box. If I ever so much as feel that you're trying to put me in a box, I'm a brat. I'll throw a wrench in your plans kind of deal. So it's so much fun. So in the kink world, I consider myself a primal. And this is actually going to be a piece of writing that I'll dive into at a later time. But for me, primal encompasses who I am at my core, which is, in all actuality, is probably an empath. I'm not a huge fan of the way this word empath has been skewed to soften and be some sort of valid excuse for people-pleasing behavior, versus like people who are empathetic are usually kids who've grown up in extremely volatile like environments, and they've become like hypersensitive to everyone's emotions. I was the oldest girl, and I was the oldest at the time as well too, because my two older brothers grew up in a different country. The bulk of the responsibility of the home fell on me. It was my job to keep an eye out for everyone everyone's needs. Every time I came home, I never knew what mood or what environment I was coming home to. So I did everything I could to make sure that the dishes were done, the clothes were washed, place was cleaned, so that I could minimize as much of that threat as possible. And so as an adult, I'm now this empathetic, very empathetic person. And that's in its own way, I don't want to say curse, but like in its own way, its own struggle, because we're also having to work on recognizing what our needs are, making sure that we recognize who we are separate from that person, because it's so deeply ingrained in ourselves to serve the other person's needs, to fix things for them, to make them feel comfortable, often at the sacrifice of our own boundaries and health and mental health. And so, yeah, in the kink world, I identify as primal. Oftentimes I'm approached by men, because women don't really approach me all that much. Oftentimes I'm approached by men, and they often have this preconceived notion, and they come with expectations, and they ask me, what are you into? What do you want? My answer is always, what I want is mine and mine only. What I want from you depends on who you are. I'm like a blank slate. I don't come in with any expectations. I don't come in with any wants or desires. I'm like a blank slate. Whoever you are, it takes some time for me to get to learn you. And then like whoever that person is, it affects what version of me comes out. So in some cases, we're kind of shapeshifters, and that's our superpower. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
So I also identify, I wouldn't say primal because I haven't done enough reading. Your girl does the reading, okay? Like I always do. But for defining terms, I would identify in the kink world as the first child. And I got the oldest girl syndrome as well. So I was always an adult. I was never a child. I was never a child. I was doing things at the age of 5, 6, and 7 that some adults don't do now, as far as keeping a house, setting a budget, stretching groceries. Making sure homework was done, making sure medical needs were taken care of. Who do you call in an emergency? Mom's working. It's me. I'm filling in the gap from the time I don't have memories of just strictly being a kid. When you also have to take the temperature of everyone around you for safety reasons, and this goes into adulthood, it becomes this thing where you can shapeshift. You can attune yourself to the moods of other people. The difference with my attitude now is that I am going in with asks. I'm going in with wants because I'm not getting what I want. That's why we're going to continue to do this. But I have learned to be very firm about, hey, I don't like this. Hey, you know what? I need this. I need to be fed in some kind of way. So figuring out what I want, being good and selfish. I mean, selfish. I'm not worried about anybody except for me, myself. And those are the 3 people that I care about right now. I've earned it. I have earned it. I don't make any apologies unless I am truly sorry. That is part of my disposition. And I have walked into this saying, this is the way this is going to be. I have leaned more on the professional persona that I'm in charge. I set the rules. I set my rate. I've leaned into that while dating to mixed results.
Yes. The dating scene currently right now, it's an entirely different world, because when the last time I was single, I was in my early 20s, and the demographic of people that you have available to you, your early 20s, is nothing compared to what it is now at 33.
Oh, wait until you're in your 40s.
You would think that the older we get, the demographic of gentlemen and men that we would have available would be a little bit more mature. No, that has not been my experience.
So before my 6 years of celibacy, this was my routine. I've been single, and I mean single. No relationships for 17 years. I've been divorced for 17 years, and I haven't had anything that you would call a relationship. I've had some situationships, some almost, some I've dodged a bullet, but this is my thing. Because I had a young child in the house, no strange people are coming up in here unless I know for sure you're going to be here. I don't want her meeting a bunch of people, so forth and so on. So I wasn't dating. I would book my big vacation overseas. I would do some mess and I would come home. That was it. Once a year, I would get some just to say I was okay. It was my way of checking in with myself. Not the healthiest in the whole wide world, but it was true. I would go overseas. I have stories from Spain. I have stories from Germany. I have stories from Sweden, Denmark. Didn't do anything in South Africa, but I made the mistake and I traveled with people. I could have gotten some in South Africa.
No,
But anyway.
I'll go with you to South Africa. I will go to you, South Africa. Shiz.
It was an amazing trip.
This
Horrific.
sister won't cock block you. This sister
Yeah.
will actually wingman you. Wingman you.
Yeah. The end result, the goal for me is to have a girlfriend who has a girlfriend, who has a boyfriend, who has a boyfriend. Two couples. I've already decided, like I thought a couple or two, but two couples. And then we have a monthly dinner party at mine. So my girlfriend who has a girlfriend, because I want a girlfriend. I want a girlfriend really, really badly. But I am non-monogamous. I've taken tests. I don't believe in one-on-one. Friend of mine, and I quote, Yolanda, you're a lot. And I took it to heart. I was like, you know what? Maybe I am. Maybe I am a lot. And so I should spread the love. But I can concentrate on different people because I have friendship. I am always in my friendships. Even if we don't talk on a regular basis, a lot of people will say, talking to you is like, I talked to you yesterday. So a month can go by, a year can go by. I can pick up the phone or they can pick up the phone and it's like we saw each other the day before. So I maintain those relationships.
Six, 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we met in 2016.
So I'm very careful about the people that I have around me. I don't have a huge circle, but the circle that I have is powerful and mighty, and I love everyone in it. I can do that with sexual partners. I know I can. In fact, I have been doing it. So I haven't lost track of anybody, confused stories, ignored one person in favor of another. I've taken care of my business. My behavior hasn't been out of line with my values. And I'm like, A+ for me. I'm polyamorous, not ready to settle down. I'm ready to like while out.
Ethical sluttery is a thing.
Yes. Safety. I'm wilding in the non-traditional sense, but not like I'm not crazy, so I'm very sane, very safe, and I want to have a good time. I need to find someone of appropriate age in the female gender to do that with, but that's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks because I'm not ready to settle down. So if my girlfriend already has a girlfriend, bonus.
Great. Amazing.
Right?
Bonus.
You sent me that infographic on bisexual men. I have a preference. I like the bisexual men. I do. I like them. I prefer them. I think they're better lovers. I think they are better people. They're still men. Okay. But in the small sampling that I've had in these last few months, I like them. I like them a lot. So I want my boyfriend to have a boyfriend. And the couples, I have experience in that. I've had experience that, overseas. And I have physically, the experience has always been amazing. The social aspect to it, as far as rules, boundaries, are both partners really into it, and no one talks about it. I don't know why no one talks about this, but I listen intently. I listen to a lot of these swinger podcasts, and I avoid couples where it was the man's idea. A lot of women roll into the lifestyle reluctantly, do it for their man, regardless of what they say.
Like an appeasement,
An appeasement. Behavior. I'll lose him if I don't, so I might as well. So I've had experience with couples where that dynamic is there, and I'm like, no, I'm not messy like that. I am not messy.
I'm glad you have that down as a red flag, because that's something that's valuable. I've had some experiences with couples exploring polyamory, and my current couple friends right now are the first couple that I've met in the poly circle or in the poly lifestyle that actually were wholesome. Those are the types of people that I'm attracted to, like wholesome people who are just like, they have good lives, got their stuff figured out, they've got their shit together. And so they're like overflowing with abundance, right? I have learned to sniff out these deficiencies in relationships. And I can tell when a man is exploring polyamory to avoid working on his marriage or relationship with his girl. I will always default to the women. That's just how it goes.
Same here. I found, my couple, but they were messy in a different way. But it was very much female led. This was her desire. No one was being pulled along. No one was carrying the water for whatever particular reason. This was a healthy couple that was into kinky and weird things. I love that dynamic. I like the woman better. Like, to be perfectly honest.
There's just something about the women's that just make
Yeah,
you
like,
tingle the right way.
yeah. So I figure in a perfect world, this is what my pod looks like. I have two couples, right? And like generally everybody gets along. We're all well read. We can discuss current events. We can all go to a museum together.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, there's this group of people. We get together for a munch once a month. We do other things
Wild out.
at other times. And that way everyone's needs are taken care of and no one gets taken advantage of. I feel like spread the love. Like that's going to be my philosophy going forward. We can talk about the success and losses in that, exploring that. But like when I close my eyes and when I think about it and when I fantasize about what I want my life to look like, that's what it is. I have a pod.
That would be considered kitchen table poly. I'm very attracted to that kind of dynamic as well too. Everyone's consensual, everyone gets along. I very much love that community feel, that feel of family, the sense of looking out for each other and taking care of each other and like loving each other. I'm definitely monogamous in the way that I just want my person, the nesting partner, the primary partner, the anchor partner, the person I want to build my life with. But I'm also non-monogamous in the way that I don't want to have sex with the one person for the rest of my life. At the same time, I'm monogamous in the way of that's my person for the rest of my life. And if everyone else doesn't exist, I'm totally okay with that. So I don't need the poly dynamic to fulfill myself as long as I have that person. I have encountered people and a person in the past that really turned me off of it because he couldn't just be present with me. He sexualized every beautiful woman because women would come up and they would compliment me. And instead of just appreciating the attention, it was always, do you think she would want a threesome? And it was ick. It was icky. It was gross. I didn't like it. I didn't like that. So non-monogamous, definitely monogamous at the same time.
You want your person.
And
you
yet
want your person.
poly, because I like the community and I like the family aspect as well too. I'm not a stranger person. I don't want to f with strangers.
Nope.
The more I trust the person, the people, the more I trust the people and the more I respect them, the more that I love them, the freakier I get. Okay.
I wish people would understand that because like that's my disposition. Like I don't care what you look like. To be 100, to keep it 100, looks are very, very low on my attractiveness scale. Brain is number one. Like, like I'm a brainy person. I like brainy people. So that's high up there. But familiarity, getting to know, asking the questions, talking about it, communicating openly about needs, wants, desires, yums, icks, all of it gives you a better picture so that you can explore. You cannot explore it with one night stands. Like I don't understand that. And I realized like, hey, there is a term. I love living in this age, especially being a Gen Xer, like where we didn't have words for this. Like, like
it's actually it's a kink, the meaningless
one night
sex.
stands. Yeah,
Meaningless sex. That is a kink for some people, men a lot. It's
not
just
for
like
me though.
and that's just not how women operate.
But honestly, I don't necessarily think that's how men operate either. We act the way that we see things. So a lot of pop culture, a lot of TV, a lot of movies, a lot of men were raised watching other men behave in this way. And so it became something that they do. I don't necessarily think, and as I said before, I'm dating, I'm exploring. The more questions I ask, the more needs that are unmet, especially with men, that I find. And a lot of them are not physical, they are emotional. Men need things emotionally that they are not willing to admit that they need.
It's also those types of people, and because it's not just gender bias. I've had my fair share of casual sex and one night stands. But speaking from that point of view, going through that, it's a mask, right? It's a mask. It's an avoidance thing. It's an escapism. It's a form of escapism. It's not being willing to be honest with ourselves and not being willing to confront certain things about ourselves and just like really dive deep and delve into what we want. So many of us have been conditioned from a very young age to not ask and not demand and not require things because it's easier if you're the chill person. You're the cool chick. You're the cool chick. You know why? Because
you want
go
me
with
to
the
start
flow.
yelling at you? Call me chill? call me cool or tell me that I'm not like other girls. I I will lay into you. I will lay into you because no, I'm not any of those things. I seem like those things because I've been told that my needs don't match. And when you are conditioned from a young age to put yourself second, third,
Last.
last,
You settle for everyone's bare minimum.
and you become afraid to ask. You ask and you lose. In my experience, whenever I've exerted myself in any relationship, including my marriage, it was met with wrath and destruction. I was like,
Yeah, and it's
like,
always like,
why is this? Why is this?
because we start off being cool and chill and not requiring any much.
I'm
I
high
was,
maintenance bitches. Like I'm putting it
and
out
it's
there
like,
now.
and that's like the narrative that I rolled with in my entire 20s. I'm chill, I'm cool, I'm low maintenance. I'm not a girly girl. I don't need to wear makeup. I don't get my nails done. Guess what? We get nails done. We like the makeups. As a matter of fact, when I met you, that was actually the first time in my life that I've ever worn a full face of makeup, because we had a makeup day and we went to a concert. And that was the first time in my life that I've ever had a full face of makeup on. And it was in a lot of ways empowering and freeing for me.
I've never worn a full face of makeup until, well, not true. I have a boot camp story. I have a boot camp story about me and makeup because I'd never worn any makeup whatsoever. So that was 23. I did wear a full face for my photo. That was other people putting me together.
Pause you real quick. And for those who are listening, Londa and I are both Marine Corps veterans. So
yes.
hence the boot camp references and the veteran references.
But until 40 when we met, and all of a sudden I became like intensely interested in makeup and putting on makeup, just girling it out. When I was young, when you're supposed to get into these things, that transitional phase for girls, like I was entirely too poor for makeup. I couldn't afford makeup. So there was that. But I was always jealous of girlies. I was always jealous of the full face. Like it's like, I want to do that. I don't know how to do that. No one's here to teach me to do that. So I was grown 40, 41, 42 when I first started wearing makeup. So when you'll catch me with makeup on camera and
date nights.
no, I don't. Well, because I go on a lot of first dates. There aren't too many second dates. No one's seen me in my full drag. The couple did because we got to date 3. We got to date 3. So they saw me in partial drag. They were like, oh, wait. It was like, yes, I got the makeup on. I don't do makeup for my first date ever. You know why? Because what you see is what you get. This is what you're going to wake up next to. So like, I don't want there to be any sort of illusion going on when, like, oh God, that's not what you really look like. Aside from having the dark eyes, this is basically what I look like. I'm not doing, like the makeup magic. I am just putting myself together because it makes me feel so good. So good to put on a full face, get on camera, talk to my bestie about the things. Yes.
I do look forward to our calls. So you shared your personal goal as far as the relationship aspect goes. My personal goals would be, I want a boyfriend. I want a husband. I also want a girlfriend or a wife, because I don't know if I want to marry. It just depends on who, right? I'm looking for marriage. That's where I'm at. So I want a husband or a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. I already have my couple, but I definitely want my little pod as well too. I have an infographic that I would love to share with you about basically like a dom led house with like multiple dominants and their submissives and their pod all together. We're a house kind of deal. So, or a little pack. A little pack. And so let's go on vacation together, bitches. That's where we're at.
I know, that's another thing, like, because I love to travel. People get surprised that I am well traveled. I've done a lot of this solo. My last big trip overseas, I got very lonely. It started in Prague. I should start a story. Like, yes, it started in Prague. Prague is a destination wedding for Koreans. So there were all of these beautiful Asian couples getting married in Prague, and like, I'm so allowed. This is year 5 of celibacy. No, year 4 of celibacy, and then COVID. That was where the genesis of like, oh, like I'm like lonely. Like I want romance, and I want sex and romance and sex. Like I want both things. And it's possible. I fully believe, like, if you meet the right people, you meet the right person, it might not last forever. And I'm not sure if forever is in my milieu, or like if it's good for me, or would it be good for another person, a forever thing with me. So I don't think being monogamous in the way that, you know, you've described it, having a person or primary, I don't even think that's in the cards for me. But I do want to form authentic relationships with people. I don't want to be disposable to people. I don't want to be an object to people. I don't treat people as disposable. I don't treat people as objects. In turn, knowing this is what I want from a person, I'm not going to be pleased in one night. It never happens. You got to get over the nerves and the not knowing and the ouch or the oh, wait, all of the awkwardness. I don't consider myself as an awkward person bodily. Like I love my body. I love everything about it. I work out. Your girl's into fitness, has been. So I'm not bodily shy. But as far as sensation is concerned, I am just learning at this age what I like physically from other people. Like what pressure is right, what's too much, what's too little, what is off-putting, what is very, and I'm finding so many surprises along the way as to like, wait, I like that. Like I like that. And it really is not about catering to someone else's needs. But I am also aware of other people's needs, and I ask about them. You know, like, hey, what really gets you going? Because I take pleasure in other people's pleasure too. So that's the compersion aspect of it as well. Like, I don't want to leave with a bad Yelp review. Like, I don't want anybody leaving
I
my
think
presence with a bad review.
there's something to be said about that. People like us who've grown up hyper attuned to other people's needs, we have to consciously put boundaries on ourselves not to cater to other people's needs. But our people, the people that we love, respect, and trust, we will serve your needs all day long because we are service-oriented people. That's just how we're programmed. And we do have to protect ourselves. When people meet me, I don't think you got this vibe because I got this vibe from you. I am also shy. I am also awkward. I have to pretend and force myself not to be like that because that's not how you have a good time. If you want to have a good time, you're going to have to get over being shy, and you're going to have to get over the awkwardness, because 9 times out of 10, everybody else is feeling the same way too. We've mentioned this briefly in previous conversations, like the shiny, the shiny is not as shiny as people think, because like we have to project these things, these parts of ourselves, because we want to have a good time. Somebody's got to lead. Somebody's got to lead. And like,
and I shy away from that every time. Like I don't know how it happens. I go somewhere, the mission is to paint a house. How do I become in charge of painting the house? I don't know anything about painting houses. Give me a brush. I just went to work, right? I've leaned into it more the older I've gotten, but I've always, don't make me the leader. I don't want to. Like I don't want to. I don't want to.
Again, the blessing and the curse. Blessing and a curse. Everybody looks at me and they think I'm this dominatrix, and I'm just like, actually, I'm my preference. I actually prefer to be a bottom. I actually prefer to be submissive, because I lead all day, every day, in my work life, in my daily life, in my family life as well too. So I'm not saying that I want to be submissive 24/7. I'm just saying I don't want to lead. The problem is competency. If you are a competent leader and a competent person, I will give it up to you all day long. Please, by all means, take over. But if there's no competency in the equation, if there is a gap in leadership, I'm a bulldozer. I'm going to get on up and I'm going to take the mic and I'm going to do those things, because that's just how it goes. For me, it's a safety thing. If I know that I can drive better than you, I'm going to get up and I'm going to man the vehicle, and I'm going to get us to our destination safely, because I know how to get there. I'm a great driver. I've had to work really, really hard on that. And I can ensure that everyone is safe. I can ensure that everyone is having a good time when we get there. But if you can do a better job, by all means, please take over.
Okay, so professional. The professional and the personal blurred lines, right? But in my experience, people are out here asking for things that sex workers do. They're asking for me to do those things. And I am a competent person. I can perform those tasks. That's what it is, a performance. There's a fee structure for that. There are women getting paid to do that. I would be happy to do those things if I got paid to do it. So I think I'm going to do the work, just like you said, read the books, do the workshops, figure out my personal style, like what my limits are, 4 or 5 funny stories about about how I came to the, like, I'm like, oh wait, this is a valuable talent. I'm out here just giving it away for free, yelling at these fools. Like,
Mhm.
and them liking every minute of it. Like, that's professionally in the kink space. Like I think I want to go pro. One, if I'm being asked to do it and I'm capable of doing it, but it does not bring me pleasure, then I should get paid for it. Two, it takes a talent, it takes a set of cojones that, like, like I've got the unmitigated gall that it takes to do that type of work. And I might learn to enjoy it, but I still want to get paid to do it. That's what I want to do. And going in with the professional thing, I'm going back to school. I'm saying it out loud, so it's gonna happen. I'm gonna go get my PhD in psychology. I think it's probably gonna be clinical. I don't think I wanted to spend my life doing research, but I'm going back to school. It's gonna be Dr. Yolanda soon enough. Well, 5 year.
That's so crazy. Did I ever tell you that I went to school for clinical psychology? I went to school and I did 2 years and then I dropped out because I was already working full time as a dog trainer. It was actually my counselor's counsel to stop pursuing this degree because you're not doing it for yourself. You're just doing it for the degree so that your parents can be proud of you. I was like, oh shit. And also, my behavioral psychology professor said something that just continues to stick with me for like forever. And he says, like, welcome to psychology. 9 times out of 10, people who sign up for this class sign up with the intention and desire to understand more about their behavior and more about themselves. And in doing so, if they happen to evolve into a career that allows them to serve and help others, then it becomes an extension of that as well too. And so when he said that, I was like, oh shit, I'm here because psychology fascinates me. That's the engineer in me. My father was a mechanic, was a boat engineer.
And I'm an actual engineer. So like
and so that's
that
kind
is,
of like, I have a math brain. I operate on logic. I can be emotional too, but like things have to make sense to me. Logic is a very important thing. And so I am infinitely fascinated by behavior. I like to watch what people do. I like to dissect why you're like that.
I like to watch. So voyeurism is in my kink purview because I like to watch.
I'm deeply fascinated by what things and what drives people to perform and behave the way they do. It's, again, a blessing and a curse because I have to consciously try to turn my brain off. As someone who is a self-proclaimed empath, people with a lot of unresolved issues, trauma, whatever it is, I like to call them the strays. I just tend to attract stray souls, and being the people-pleasing, soft boundaried person that I am, it's in my nature and desire to try to serve you and make your life better. And I have to consciously work on not doing that because I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing all of this so that I can be a better person. Maybe it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. That's why I'm like calling myself an amateur dominatrix, because I would like to be pro dom later on. I still feel very new to this, even though I've been at it for 3 years now. I'm still very green to this. My own self-exploration has been put on pause for the last almost 2 years because people approach me and they want to explore themselves. And I love being a conduit to help facilitate and orchestrate that experience for them. That's a creative outlet for me as well, too. I'm very much a creative person. People have mentioned this many, many times. You're like, you're extremely talented. Cool. I'm just artistic. And I just really enjoy helping people. But it has been at a detriment to my own self-exploration. So 2024 is my year for myself, That's all. So the professional aspect, we've already talked about this in previous conversations. I want this to be a real thing. I am a dog trainer in real life. My primary job is relationship coaching. That is what I do. I'm a relationship coach for dogs and owners. That is my thing. So I would like to actually get into I would like to do an actual relationship coaching program so that I can be a certified relationship coach. And taking my behavioral psychology background and behavior modification background, I want to move this into the pro-dom world as a behavior modification specialist. Sex workers are therapists. Unofficially, the word and the label alone is so demonized in society. And it's just like, sex workers are your best friend.
You have your dog academy. You're going to have your human academy soon enough. Kids like the same. We
Okay, because I have no desire to do this by myself.
No, you're not going to. And I know this intuitively. Like, I work better with people. I can do things on my own. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Tired.
I love being an idea person. I'm also an idea executor person. The spiritual physical aspect of our goals kind of ties into the personal stuff too. I need to work on my communication, okay, first and foremost, because I'm an avoidant and I like to bury things, suppress things, ignore my instincts, ignore my feelings, bottle things up, and then eventually blows the up and it comes rushing out. I need to work on that. As far as like religion goes, I'm very much a naturism girl, because before a structured religion, there was paganism. I don't want to say I'm a Wiccan person, but if I were to label a belief system for myself, naturism and paganism would be the closest thing to that. You already know I've got a powerlifting meet coming up next year. I'm going to do my first powerlifting meet, and I got a bodybuilding goal for the years after that. So that covers the physical aspect, but the spiritual personal stuff, I need to communicate better. I need to work on my anger management issues.
Personal, spiritual, and professional writing. I've been writing some smut. I've been writing some smut. I want to put these stories together. Where my mind is where I can write. It has always been a thing with me. Sometimes I'm deeply introspective and I write that, or sometimes I'm wildly into sci-fi and so I will write that. And right now we are in our dating season. We are in the
We're in the
explore
smut.
sexually. Let's put this down on paper. Adventure. And most of this is based on true life experiences. I'm like, yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was literally just thinking about it a couple of days ago. I want to put a poetry book out. I feel like writing and reading has always been my go-to escapes, even as a child. When I'm angry, I write poetry. When I'm introspective, I'll write like some sort of fucking like essay or some shit like that, or a journal entry of some sort. But like poetry is my outlet. Suppressing my anger is not going to work. It's not going to work. How can I use it in a way that's actually going to be able to help me? So maybe instead of blowing up and fucking coming out cutting, why don't I just write it down in a letter? Thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope everybody had a good time, and then we'll see you next time.
What are your hopes, dreams, goals in your dating, professional, and spiritual life that you would like to share with us? Because we want to know. We want to know what the streets is talking about.
I hope you as the audience enjoyed our episode tonight. And if you have any thoughts, any input, if you disagree with some of the things we said, please feel free to share. Email your thoughts in, comment down below, leave a comment, and we'll read them. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. Good night.